since the beginning of the 20th century, we haven't seen so much disparity between the haves and the have-nots.
I hold in absolute contempt that school in the West End that makes parents do this every year. I think it's reprehensible.
It's just bad advertising for this province.
Now, the Big Five on the Elias Mecco Show. Brought to you by investment advisor Richard Lapointe of CIBC Wood Gundy. Richard Lapointe can always be reached at 847-6324.
I have a plan, everybody. I have a plan, and I think you're going to like it. It has to do with the PQ leadership race. I think this is a plan that we can all get behind. Anglophones, we can unite, and I think you're going to get behind my plan. Welcome to the Big Five, everybody. It's Monday morning. We're all scandalized from the Super Bowl halftime show. Some of you think I was actually saying, because I was on Andrew Carter, the Andrew Carter Morning Show, talking about Shakira and talking about J-Lo, and it was fantastic. I enjoyed how scandalized I was. I was scandalized by Shakira's performance and her tongue work, but I was scandalized, but I enjoyed it, is what I'm trying to say. Welcome to the Big Five, my two lovely panelists for the morning. Leah Stréliski is a LaPresse columnist and a comedian. Hi, Leah.
Hi.
And Trudie Mason, the one, the only. Hey, you're back. Welcome back.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, guys, let's start off with my plan. Are you ready for my plan?
So we don't get to talk about Shakira?
Oh, wait. What did you think of Shakira?
It was fine. She lip synced though. I was a bit disappointed with that.
Wait, did you think? But she's, when they're going to be dancing like that, and then at one point they throw themselves into the crowd, it's hard to do it
Lady
live.
Gaga did it. They do it. They're professionals.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was a bit disappointed.
I didn't know
by
that. Did you have to have a license to be a professional twerker, or is there a training program you have to undergo
for your back?
Year-long apprenticeship?
But I'm telling you, I loved Shakira so much. I thought that performance was so awesome.
Everything was awesome.
But I by the time J-Lo came around, I was still thinking about Shakira the entire.
You were in love. That's what happened.
I was in love.
You were in love.
So I didn't really notice. I didn't really notice J-Lo because Shakira was so strong. Don't you want?
That's a big problem, though.
Yeah,
you had a horrible evening.
No, but I mean, don't you always want the opener not to be as good as you, right? Right? If you're a comedian, right, you don't want your opener to be better than you, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
But did she really open for J-Lo?
No, I know.
No,
it was more
obviously.
it was more like a co-thing.
It was a team thing, finally.
Okay. Well, there you go. So everyone loved it, right? 3 for 3. We all loved Shakira and J-Lo.
Sure.
Fantastic. A-Rod loved it. We're happy. Okay. Can we get to my plan, folks?
Yes.
Thank you. Parti Québécois, they just announced their new leadership race rules. It doesn't cost that much. It's $125,000 maximum spending. They got to do $25,000 to enter the race. But here's the thing that matters to me, that matters to us. And that is you don't have to be a member to vote in this leadership race. You can become what they call an affiliated supporter. You pay $5, okay? $5, you get to vote. Now, you do have to check off a box with the declaration that you are for social democracy and independence. But, I can sort of fib on that just for a few seconds to get by and become an affiliated supporter. My question to you, I'm happy that you're here, Leah, because I want your take on this. But shouldn't Anglos join the PQ en masse? Because there's only 16 people in the whole party. We take over this party. We join en masse, okay? Or we become affiliated supporters. But here's my thing. Some of you are thinking, and we do sabotage. No. I think we're here to save the PQ from themselves. Left to their own devices, they're going to vote in some smarmy guy that knows everything better than everyone else, like another Jean-François Lisée. And what we need to do is go in there and make sure the person that can beat the CAQ, the someone that can take votes away from the CAQ, is the one who wins this race. So the opposite of sabotage, helpatage, where we help them find the real leader.
Yeah, it's like
Thoughts?
A helpful Trojan horse.
Yes, a helpful Trojan horse. What do you think of my plan?
It's creative.
I don't even know who we would throw our support behind.
Well, okay.
The most credible declared candidate so far? Who exactly would that be?
Well, Pierre Plamondon, right? He wants to be the leader.
Yeah, I
right?
guess
There's
maybe.
the Dawson professor, the Dawson professor. His name is escaping me right now. There's that comedian.
There's Guy Nantel, yeah.
So here's what I think. I think they should. Guy Nantel, he's my guy. He's my pick.
Oh, yeah, because you don't know him, I guess.
Well, I do know him, man. Listen, I love his vox pops of going to the street and making people look stupid. Especially, he loves making Anglophones look stupid. But you know what? I think he's a guy that could take votes away from François Legault, and that's what I want.
But you really think the PQ is still the one who's against La CAQ, then? You think that because they're so weak right now that I don't know if that's the party you want to invade and have your plan.
So are the Liberals. The Liberals are weak. Yeah. You look at the latest polling, it's still CAQ honeymoon.
Yeah.
What Anglophones need here, right? If we want a resurgent Liberal party that can actually win, we need the PQ to go from 10% back to 25% of the vote. That's what we need.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
I find this so dangerous.
Uh-huh.
Oh, you think they're going to stop at 20%? You think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Playing with fire is what you're saying.
Yeah. PQ Premier, that has a ring to it.
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
How's it going for us with the CAQ, though? How's it going for us with the CAQ? What's the alternative?
I absolutely agree, but I think in your scenario, you better be careful what you wish for.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And some Anglos want Quebec to separate. What if you...
Stop
with this
there's
canard. Like 8 of them, but there's 8.
Exactly.
There's 8.
There are more unicorns in Quebec than Anglophones for
I have
independence.
met them. I've never seen a unicorn. And they're both just as creative, I find.
Oh, that you've met both of them. Well, lucky you.
So it's anyways, I just think that, yes, you can find an Anglophone that's for independence, but it's so few and far between.
But I wonder if they did that for Guy Nantel, because that's what Guy Nantel wanted, because he has a big following, obviously being a comedian, so he wanted non-members to be able to vote.
Leia, can you sort of tell our listeners who aren't familiar with Guy Nantel just a little bit more about him, why you think he may be a compelling guy?
Well, he's not really that loved in the French side of town. He's known for his vox pops, where he kind of
men on the street.
Yeah, men on the street, and then it's kind of a trap all the time. And then I actually did back then. I went out and did the exact same vox pop that he did because I wanted to see if people were really that stupid.
Yeah.
So I went to the same street corners on the same time, and I asked the same questions to see do Quebecers know really that little about politics, and it turns out they were smarter than what he pretended.
Yeah.
So
it's edited. That's an editing job. You just pick and choose what you want.
Exactly, because also he's a comedian. He wants to make it funny, but I wanted to see if we were really that dumb, and it turns out we're not that dumb. We're not that dumb.
But you're intimating, you're hinting that behind the scenes the guy is not very well liked. Why is that?
I don't. Well, I guess most comedians are more on the left side, and I think maybe he's more on the right side, which is really rare. Usually, people who are in comedy are more on the left than on the right.
Isn't he perfect for the PQ though? Isn't he perfect?
I think he is. I think he really is at a point where the PQ is kind of looking for a guy like him. I still think that it would be doing same old, same old. I think if the PQ really wants new voters and everything, they have to go in another direction. And they
like Court Anglophones have become affiliated supporters.
Yes, exactly. All those unicorns out there. That's what they need. But it's an interesting idea, though. I mean,
yeah. Can we talk about the current interim leader of the Parti Québécois, Pascal Bérubé, with a warning? My goodness, you hear his warning? This just happened right before the weekend. And this is a direct quote, Pascal Bérubé, who says this: "Knowledge of English, when it isn't necessary, must be denounced."
Yes.
So,
because you're the enemy.
Are we?
No, I'm just, I think French, well, obviously the French language is a little drop of water in a gigantic desert, and we want it to be protected. However, you don't have to be an a-hole about it. You can go around with good laws, and I think that anybody who reacts very strongly like that is obviously afraid that the French language will disappear in Quebec. Now, I know what's weird about being here right now is that you guys are the minority, which is weird, because usually for us, the way we see it on the French side of town, we're always the minority in the gigantic English pool, right?
Yep.
And then you talk to people in Montreal who are Anglophones, and then they feel like they are the minority who have to be protected or at least taken care of.
We would just like to be acknowledged acknowledged.
Acknowledged,
You don't have to
exactly.
take care of us. Just a nod.
And I'm sure-
a hi tacked onto your bonjour when I'm shopping on the West Island.
That is a point too far, Trudie.
Oh,
Yeah,
but
exactly. You're taking it too far. You can't be acknowledged.
I think this guy is honestly, he's trying to justify his existence by trumping up these terrible examples of English being demanded for such jobs as
Yeah, tell me.
medical receptionist. Like, that's a terrible, terrible, terrible thing to have a medical receptionist who could say to an English patient, you'd better bring your husband with you because I think the doctor may have bad news for you. You know, that's a terrible thing, is to be addressed in your own language at a time when you're probably sick, not feeling very well, confused, disoriented, maybe under the influence of pharmaceuticals. That's a terrible, terrible thing.
The stories the office is buzzing about. The Big Five on the Elias Macco Show.
It is the Big Five. On the Big Five this morning, Trudie Mason, also LaPresse columnist, Leah Stréliski. I think I put an N in your name when we kicked off the show.
Everybody always does.
Stréliski. People do that,
I
right?
should add it. I'm tired of it. I should just add it.
I used to get Marcos a lot. I get mail sometimes. Marcos. They throw the R in there. So I feel your pain, and I apologize for doing that off the top. Okay. Just continuing with this, Pascal Berube, the interim leader of the PQ, worried about English creep. He hates the fact that people are asking for knowledge of English when it isn't necessary and it must be denounced. Some of the jobs, though, that he mentioned, where he's seeing job postings where they require English: dishwasher, cook, machinery repairman. I get that. You're a repairman. You got to go deal with people, right? They should be allowed to say, hey, you got to speak English too, or we'd like a bilingual person in the best case scenario. But what about these other things? You got a point?
What about those other things?
Like cook.
Yeah.
If a restaurant says we want the cook to be bilingual, is that okay?
I don't know. Bilingual is always good. I mean, having two languages is always good. However, is it necessary? I don't know. I guess it depends on the part of town also.
Yeah.
And
But if a business wants that, should they have the right to ask for it?
for bilingual, meaning that
English
it's
and
not.
French, yeah.
But I think it should be fine. But I understand how they're worried. I understand. I understand everybody in this case. That's what happens when you're bilingual. Is you understand, like what Trudie said before.
Yeah.
I've heard that exactly from French people who are afraid that they're in a scenario where they're vulnerable and they don't have access to their own language. And I think it's the same thing for everyone. So that needs to be acknowledged, that people want to be treated in their language. And then maybe French has to be protected.
He also talked about the rapid anglicization of Laval and the South Shore. And he sort of puts it in words like, we've already lost Montreal. And now...
I don't think we've lost Montreal
but when you listen to a PQ supporter, right, or the head of the PQ,
sure.
it sounds like, oh my
But
God,
they're
all is lost.
drowning also. So they're drowning. So obviously they're going to throw buzzwords out there. Especially Berube, I think.
Does he have a point? You go to Laval now. You go to Laval shopping mall, and it's all English. Is that what's happening?
I don't go to Laval.
Trudie, you go to Laval or South Shore. Are we winning? Or is the Anglophones? Are we taking over?
Not that I can see. You know, and I think Anglos don't measure, that as success. Is Anglo enrollment in schools going up? No. Is our access to healthcare in English going up? No. None of the things that really matter. I think that Anglos have long become inured, even on the West Island, walking into stores, being greeted in French only, asking questions in English. Obviously, the person understands English because they understand what you're saying. They'll reply in French. We hear this all the time. This he's making it sound like we're riding out on our chargers and conquering these areas. Yeah. That's ridiculous. What maybe business people in those regions like to serve their clients in the language of their choice. That's what it comes down to. That's a terrible concept, isn't it?
Okay, guys, I want to talk about this story, which comes on the heels of a story we talked about last week. So last week, we told you of a story about this guy that was sentenced to life in prison for killing his spouse. He killed his spouse with a hammer and stabbed her. 13 years later, he's allowed to go on supervised visits. He ends up killing a 22-year-old in Quebec City on these with his parole person who said, yeah, you should go and see a sex worker, in order to get your jollies. That's okay. And he ends up killing a 22-year-old in Quebec City. And that got on our phone lines, on the text line. People were so upset about that story. And now we have another story, which I think is I don't know. It's another example of us not taking these kinds of offenses seriously enough. Okay, so 78-year-old is sentenced in May. He murdered his ex by intentionally crashing his vehicle with the ex, who was in the trunk, by the way, okay? The ex was in the trunk because he had knocked her out, and then he put her in the trunk. And then he gets in his car, he crashes the vehicle into an 18-wheeler, okay? The ex, who was in the trunk and knocked out, she dies of asphyxiation from the fire that came out of this crash, okay? So he's sentenced in May. He's already, because he served time waiting for the trial in prison, he's already out. Obviously, family members are saying, what the hell's going on here? And I have to ask you this question. What is Canada's parole board thinking about this? What are these parole board members that are letting a guy like this out thinking? And when are we going to finally do something about this?
Well, what bugged me about this story is I think the parole board looked at his advanced age, because he's in his mid to late 70s, and they looked at the fact he'd served half of his sentence, and often you can get out, for some offenses, serving less. And they figured his chance of recidivism was low. But when you think about how this guy killed his wife, you don't have to be stronger than a woman to get her, lure her into your car and kill her by ramming your car in a suicidal fit into a truck.
Who cares how old he is? He just killed someone.
And the violence.
I think the risk of recidivism, considering he hasn't accepted responsibility for his crime, is pretty damn high. It doesn't. She was in the trunk after he knocked her unconscious. He called his daughter from behind the wheel and said, "I'm going to commit suicide." Has that been addressed? Like, oh yeah, he's going to have to be followed by a psychologist. I'm not reassured.
Yeah, the level of violence is actually pretty horrible, because it's not just two people fighting and then something happens, it's an accident, and then somebody dies. You actually, you have to plan this whole thing. You have to be in an extended rage in order to do that and to carry out that plan. And I think just as a symbol, we can't let these people out, because then what are you saying? It's just, he killed his ex. That happens. People fight and then they kill each other. Yeah, that can't be it. This has to be. And this is just that we're hearing so much about this lately in the news. Yeah. And
but correct me if I'm wrong. The problem here, the laws are fine. The laws are fine. It's the parole boards that are screwing things up here, right? And the parole officers. Isn't that the problem here?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what their arguments are. Really, with the other case, it was definitely, everyone read that and like, okay, so he kills his spouse, then he's in jail, but he's allowed to meet women to have sex. Definitely there was something there with jealousy, sex, and love. If you kill your spouse, there's something there. Maybe don't allow that person to go around seeing sex workers. I don't know.
Well, I think that that parole officer was worried that if he had too much pent up sexual urge, he would latch out.
But there has to be another way than putting these poor women in harm's way.
That's such a bizarre case. In this case, this guy, he told the authorities he was taking his wife to the hospital. Yeah. In his trunk.
Yeah.
That's where she likes to lie.
To me, it's bizarre that they would consider him for parole.
I guess because he's old.
But that's not acceptable, right? From 2007, killing your ex in 2017, and flash forward 2 years later in 2019, you
no, it's definitely not acceptable.
That doesn't make sense to get out in 2 years, and I don't think it's necessarily the laws that are a problem. I think it's a parole board that is just, I don't know, they have to get these people out. We're worried about the cost of these people in prison.
Why too many people in prison?
Why are these people getting out? And maybe our parole board's just a little bit too soft on domestic violence and violence against.
I think that's what's changing.
Yeah,
that's what's changing. It
doesn't seem to be changing.
No, but we talk about it more and more. Domestic violence is just something that's becoming more, and it's kind of like Me Too and all of that. It's just the more we talk about it and the more we understand it, and the more unacceptable it's going to get, I think.
Okay, guys, I want to get this in here because I am a U.S. politics kind of guy, but we don't really talk about U.S. politics at all on the Big Five usually. But today is different. It's the Iowa caucus tonight, and all signs are pointing to Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
Socialist, out and out socialist Bernie Sanders as being the guy that's going to win tonight in Iowa. Guys, you pulling for anyone in this?
Trudie?
I've got no skin in this game.
No skin? Anyone you want to see?
You know what? I think Bernie was shafted last time around by the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
I think they rigged that to favor the race to favor Hillary Clinton to their detriment, I think. And so I'm kind of rooting for him as a revenge scenario that he gets chosen, even though I'm starting to wonder whether he has the vigor to serve out 4 years and so on. But
he had a heart attack. 2 days later, he's back out campaigning.
Yeah. I think philosophically, I'm a little to the right of Bernie, but I'm still more closely allied with him than I am some of the other candidates. So I would say yes.
And I like surprises. I think Bernie at this point is a surprise. Well, just because last time that didn't work out so well. So I think, I'm kind of rooting for the surprise. And anyways, what's happening now in the States, you can't predict anything. We didn't even think we would survive this long. Yeah. So at this point, I'm like, throw in Bernie Sanders in there, see what happens.
So can I just throw this out here? So you got, Bernie Sanders, and I know I get the love for him, and he's got the passionate people. And I think if you're going up against Donald Trump, you do not want to have another candidate like they had 4 years ago where nobody wants to put up a campaign sign for them. Nobody wants to go to their rallies. You need someone that is going to be as rock star level as Donald Trump when it comes to filling up arenas. Okay. And Donald Trump can fill up a rally. I think the Democratic nominee needs to fill up rallies. But there's a lot of people that think, no, what you need to do, go with the safe pick, go with Joe Biden. Right?
You're a Warren fan, though, aren't you?
I mean, I really do like Elizabeth Warren. I don't know, like, you're looking at the polling and, here's the reason why I really liked Elizabeth Warren is because, and this is another reason why I like Bernie Sanders, they talk like they talk as close as possible to normal people. And if you're going to go up against Donald Trump, and the way he talks, right? He'll just say whatever's stream of consciousness coming out of what he's thinking in his brain is what's coming out, right? You do not want. I think that's why Hillary Clinton was such a terrible candidate to run. Hillary Clinton, fantastic candidate, got the chops, but to run against Donald Trump, terrible candidate because the way she talks is total classic politician. So why do I like Elizabeth Warren is that when I hear her talk, she talks like a real person and she talks, but some of the things that I've been seeing of late from Elizabeth Warren really gets me sort of like she's trying to be too politically correct at times so she doesn't offend anyone. And I'm like, no, Elizabeth.
You need passion, a lot of passion.
Sometimes it's okay to piss off a few people. So I think that's one of my worries. So I look at, who's the better pick for the Democrats? Joe Biden or Bernie Sanders, let's say, right? And who's the better pick? Is it the guy, classic old politician Joe? Or is it someone that riles up a base?
I think Joe's also really old.
Really old. And showing
it. Yeah.
Trudie, you say you're worried about Bernie Sanders.
But this feels like an addiction to politics at this point. It's like, let go, man. You've had a nice life. Just like move on. I don't know. I'm happy that people are rallying at least behind someone, and Bernie Sanders seems to be the guy right now. I'm following him on social media. I think they're handling that really well. It's fun. You want to rally behind him, even if I'm Canadian.
I think I don't want to be ageist about this. My concern about Bernie Sanders is about vigor, not about age. And I actually think that Biden wears his age better, if you know what I mean.
Really?
Yeah.
I couldn't disagree with you more. Biden, when he talks, it's like he loses himself half the time. And it's like, oh boy, I don't think he's all there. Whereas Bernie, sharp, sharp, sharp. You may not agree with him, but he sounds sharp to me.
Yeah.
So it's interesting you say that. We'll see what happens tonight in Iowa. I want to thank Leah Stréliski for joining me on the Big Five. I want to thank Trudie Mason for joining us on the Big Five. Thanks, Trudie.
Thank you.